Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. As there are few attendees are joining, so we have to wait for some time. Let's 2-3 minutes, then we will start. So please be patient. We'll start soon. Thank you. Hello, good evening, everyone. So myself, Ujjwal Nikam. I am the solution consulting team member from Mumbai. And today's our webinar is on industrial switching solutions, IR 4.0. So we'll go to the slides and some we'll get the ideas what the industrial switching requirement is going on, what is IR 4.0. So to our agenda is smart industries, what is the present, what will the future, then role of ICT and networking in smart industries. Then we will go through the switching solutions consideration for these smart industries, and the last then we will go through the D-Link, what we D-Link can offer in the industrial Ethernet switching solutions. So we'll start. So what is right now the industries are moving in the smartness. So if we go, the manufacturing industry journey starts near about 200 years ago. So first, and each phase has its revolutions. So if you go in 19 before 1918 1800 centuries, the manufacturers are used to make the products through hands. There is no any machineries or power. Whatever the source of the power is, steam power engines and water power supply engines that manufacturing industry use, and all are handmade. So in 19th century, this is changed, and we can see it is electricity is used for the mass production and assembly lines. So now in 19th century, the concept like assembly lines, mass production were introduced during this phase. Is that it's drastically changed the entire production process. So earlier, for the production of 100 pieces, it takes 10 days. In mass production, it takes only 1 day. So that is the change in 19th century. Then we can see in the 2000 era, that is right now, which we see as a electronic change, computer automation, that we can see in the 2000th century. So here, with the advancement of in electronics, there like just I say this integrated PCBs are there, which makes a smaller size for the maintenance and operation machineries. Then there is PLCs. So this is all system will help in automated automation in the manufacturing industries. So this is a phase wise extension. And now today, so what is today? So today is a totally different scenario. Is largely focused on the mass production with the automation. So we'll go in detail for the what IR industry 3.0 has a disadvantage, that when it is focused on single machine or single process, it will not have a complete picture and intelligence to understand the situation, and it does not take any decision. So human operator is need to do the intervene and to understand the situation and take necessary changes. That is the drawback in industry 3.0. So this is overcome now industry 4.0, because today's environment is dynamic environment, because there is, if industry have to sustain, industry have to be competitive and grow to the next level, then they have to address today's challenge, that industry where industry 4.0 come in the picture. So here we can see industry 4.0 has been defined as a name for the current trend of automation and data exchange in manufacturing technologies, including cyber physical systems, the internet of things like IoT, cloud computing, and consecutive computing, and creating the smart factories. So we'll see what IR 4.0 and role of the ICT. So IR 4.0 means fourth industrial revolution, and it is a current trend in manufacturing industries. It basically implementation of certain principles and technology in industrial environment, which will enable machine to machine communication, and will provide data insights that is made that will made enable a real time data driven decision making. So no human interaction will be required in this case. With industry 4.0, the fourth revolution, smart machines and production facilities will be capable of machine to machine communication and detect the problem and change instantly, and can take actions without human interference. So what is the architecture for industry 4.0? So we can see the sensor layer sensor layer so consists front end devices like machine, sensor, control devices, which are responsible for data collection, data exchange, machine to machine communication. So the physical world, which is we can C is a sensor and controller layer. So what these do, these will collect the data from the machine's outputs. Then now once this data is collected, that data is transmitted to the cloud or on-premises servers through wired or wireless network, which is a second layer. We can see the network and monitoring layer. So whatever the data collected by sensor and control layer should be saved or process, should be sent for the process to the data layer, like a clouds or local servers where it is to be processed. And on the last, it will be the application or business layer where this data will be presented to the management or the supervisor or the engineers who can take their decisions, from analyzing this data. So in industry IR 4.0, so our part is network and monitoring layer, so which will give the connectivity from physical world to the digital world. That is the agenda of the industrial IR 4.0 networking sector. So here we had compared two scenarios in the IR industries 4.0 smart factories. So one is a corporate office and other is a smart factory. So in the corporate office, we can say commercial grade switches are mostly used for our regular business or education campus where we have a control environment. But in industrial network switches are designed to work in a harsh environment and for a longer time. So industrial Ethernet switch are built to withstand with the environmental challenges like dirt, dust, vibration, mechanical shocks, electrical noise, interference, heat, freezing cold. Our regular commercial switches cannot sustain or handle this type of problems or this type of environment. It will fail out or maybe burn out. The switches, commercial switches, may be burn out in this situation. So we have to use a industrial networking switches in the industrial environment, because the industrial switches having a industrial quality component used, which are designed and tested to operate in wide operating temperature range like minus 40 to 85. So in corporate world, we can see our normal switches, commercial switches, though it's in D-Link we have switches supports operating temperature up to 50 degree in commercial switches, but in the industrial field locations, it may be like a uh, uh, any manufacturing plant or any warehouse or any other production place where there is no any control environment, like no cooling, proper cooling or ACs for the server room. It is just a junction box where at that place we have to use industrial switches. So what we have to consider for the industrial switches or industry 4.0, what parameters we have to consider? So we have to consider the environment where the switches will be placed. Then the switch should be standard and safety EMI EMC, like that is IP30 is a standard. And as I told, IP means ingress protection. It can resist dirt, dust, and moisture. That is, commercial switches do not have this IP30 enclosure. So in industrial switches, IP30 enclosure is used. So it can withstand in the environment. Also, one more point note here is the temperature. As I told, in commercial switches, generally temperature is up to 50 degree, 40 degree, but dealing switches advantages is commercial switches supports up to 50 degree. But as I told, if there is no any control environment for the in a factory, then we have to use an industrial switch which can sustain operating temperature up to 70 degree. Also, it is to be noted that the device temperature is always higher, 10 to 15 degree higher than the outside temperature. Means if you are having outside temperature 30-35 degree, then the device may reach up to 45 degree because its component may generate the heat. Like uh, if there is any like commercial switches, I will also having a fan, inbuilt fan. So what happens then? Fan is though it is for the cooling, so it may get the dust will be get uh, inside to the switch, and it will jam the fan. Then the failure rate of the uh, failure chances will be increased. So to avoid this, in industrial switches are fanless design. So this is a benefit of the industrial switch. Also, industrial switch works on a DC power supply, which is a normal like a external DC power supply. And DC is used because it is a stable power supply. In AC, in commercial switches, it is generally a AC power supply, which may have some fluctuations, voltage fluctuations, and it may cause the device damage. So the benefit is a on DC is a it will is a stable power supply is a source will be a stable. Then about the size. So in commercial switches, switches comes with a rack mounting size like 19-inch rack mount. But in uh, in the industrial grade switch, the switch has a different option like a DIN rail mounting and wall mount options. So this will benefit for space save in the rack. So if you fitting in somewhere in the congested place, so you must check for the space saving options. So there DIN rail mounting will help to save your space by using industrial switches. About the compliance, industrial switches are very go through a very harsh testing about the safety or then EMC, shock vibrations. So these are the safety general specifications are to be matched in an industrial switch, because industrial switch are used in manufacturing industries, transport and oil and gas industries, mining industries. So where we need to be sure that products should sustain and should be complied to the standards. So some of our switches are shock vibration switches are US military standard complied. So that is very rugged. We can say very hard to sustain in environment in external environment. Also, there are other industry specific standards like IEC 618503, which is generally used in the power grid automation. So this is one of the standard. Uh, then railways has their own standard, that EN 50155 and EN 50121. So these are specifically for the railways. Then for the traffic control assemblies such as traffic signals, NEMA TS2 is a standard required for the smart cities or traffic management applications. Then ATEX is for the hazardous or an explosive environment. So as I told, oil and gas industries, so ATEX is mandatory over there. So these are some industry specifications which should be complied by the industrial switches. So what are the automation protocols industrial switches should support? So automation was generally done using a earlier it is was done using a serial communication, and device were connected to a serial field bus protocol like Profibus, Modbus. So this serial communication generally using RS-232 point-to-point links or RS-422 point-to multi-point links. So this serial communication has many limitations like distance limitation, bandwidth limitation, large amount cannot be sent, no redundancy option. So these all problems can be solved by Ethernet protocol. So as a Ethernet is most popular in our last 40 years, we use Ethernet for our corporate office everywhere, and it supports a very vast protocols. So it will for the ring redundancy we have ERPS protocol like which was enhanced ring protection protocol, as well as it is backward compatible. So it's Ethernet protocol you can be used with the uh, old protocols, and it is a de facto physical layer communication protocol used in the LAN and WAN technology. Nowadays, Ethernet is very commonly used, and industrial automation under it is called as a industrial Ethernet protocol. So it is a different from our normal standard Ethernet protocol. So why it is different? Because in our normal Ethernet protocol, we uh, we use a CSMA CD, the collision detection protocol, because the data loss should be prevented. But in industrial in scenario, it is a different case because if there should be a real time data should be sent, and if there is a delay in the command, then it may cause a disaster in the manufacturing industry. So simply we can take one example. If there is in some manufacturing industry where bottle filling plant is bottle filling plant is you applied where Ethernet protocol is used, and if the system gives after bottle filling, if the system does not send a stop command, then it may create a disaster due to the delay, or if there is a delay in the sending command as a stop to the processor, then it may create a delay. So and you there will be a use loss if such happens. So to avoid this, there is a different industrial protocol is used as a Ethernet protocol in industries manufacturing plants. As well as we can see there is a Profinet is also one of the protocol automation protocol. Modbus TCP is also optimized for industrial automation, and this will help if the data loss from the switch fails during the production, and it can result in less downtime and avoiding a use loss of the manufacturing industries. So we'll see the SCADA system, like as I said, like we in our commercial switches we have a NMS, network management software, to monitor all the devices in a network. So here in industrial Ethernet switches there is a protocol called as a Modbus TCP. So which will help to monitor all the devices in the network through this protocol. Also, industrial switch having a time synchronization protocol as a precise time protocol. So this is the most common point in the industrial switches and mandatory point, because in our commercial switches we have a protocol like NTP or SNTP for the time synchronization from the device. But industrial switches, the time synchronization should be in nanosecond. It should be precise, because all the commands from the device should be sync with the network devices. Because if there is any delay or time gaps, then it may cause a huge loss or manufacturing loss. So this is a very important feature. Precision time protocol should be supported in the industrial Ethernet switches. Then, as I told, uh, for the redundancy purpose, on the industrial Ethernet protocol, there is a protocol called as Ethernet Ring Protection Switching (ERPS). Earlier, there was a STP and RSTP protocol are used in supported in our switches, but to avoid the convergence time or delay time, so enhanced feature is developed, which is called as a Ethernet Ring Protection Switching. So it gives you the convergence. If any link fails in the ring, it will give only 50 to 200 millisecond time to convert the link or divert the traffic to the other link, which is on the uh, redundancy purpose. So in industrial Ethernet switching, this is a very important feature, because the failure can be occurred on the ring at any time, and there should be there should be a redundancy path available. So this is the most important protocol to be used. So if any fiber cut, the redundancy path will be activated and data can be reached to the servers. Then uh, PoE. PoE is also available in our commercial switches. So PoE also used in industrial Ethernet switches also, because there are also there are in the manufacturing industry also there are surveillance systems or access points, wireless access points, which may use to give the connectivity, and for that PoE feature is most important, and switches should support the standards like 802.3 AF, 802.3 AT, 15.4 and 25.5 at. That is a standard should be supported by the switch. And we have some of our switches support surveillance mode also. So surveillance mode is specially designed for the camera to give the priority to the surveillance traffic or video traffic over the other network, other traffic in the switches. So this is one of the most important feature in terms of industrial switches where PoE is required. Then persistent PoE and continuous PoE. So whenever we connect a switch to the camera, so it should be when means in the network, if the switch is connected to the camera and switch in by some reason switch is rebooted, so that time also the camera should not be off, so it will get a continuous power or persistent power from the switch. So this is the wonderful feature which should be implemented in the uh, plant. So if any due to any reason if switch fails, So camera will be on that time as well. Then instant and fast PoE. So if we connect the switch and if we on it and then connect the camera, so it may happens in normal switches that uh, once till the time switch get completely power on or boot process complete, it will not give power to the end device. But due to this feature, instant PoE or fast PoE, if we connect the switch and camera is already connected to the switch, and when we power on the switch, it will give the power to the camera instantly. Without it, it will not power up process, boot up process will not impact to stop to give the power to the camera. So this is a very important feature in terms of industrial Ethernet switches. Then industrial Ethernet switches also required features like security management feature. So management like we have right now IPv4 and IPv6 is mandatory for every switches, and it is also having a console port for the local management. Then it should have a link layer discovery protocol for the connected devices information to be collected. Then remote management security purpose, as there is a cyber security. So to prevent any attack, the switch should be HTTPS enable for the remote management. Also SSH for the secure connection should be supported, and SNMP v3 is also mandatory for the industrial switches. Then for the end user authentication, we have protocols like 802.1x, port security, MAC authentication, and ACL. So these are the standard protocols. Then some of our models also supports a MACsec security feature. Then on the surge protection, so this is the also commonly known feature. So if there are devices connected on the outdoor and there is some lightning happen, then the outdoor device may send a surge on the connected copper through connected copper cable to the switch PoE port, and that port may be damaged due to that high voltage receive on the due to lightning. So to protect uh, this to happen, the switch should support uh, surge protection on the Ethernet port. So our switch, some of the model supports surge protection from 2 kV to 6 kV, different depend on model. So this is one of the reason where outdoor switch get uh, faulty and chances of faulty. Then on the DC power supply, so we have a dual DC power supply options on all our industrial switches, as well as we have one relay output. So where we can connect alarm or buzzer, so which can be used for the notifications. And we have power options, power 1, power 2. So if any power failure, this redundancy power will take care. The switch should be operation 24 hours, as it is a mission critical locations for the manufacturing industries or industrial environment. So applications wise, we can see the industrial switches are can be deployed in the automation industries, railways, power substation, oil and gas. Similarly, the same switches, industrial switches, can be deployed in the cities and towns as well for different projects like smart city project, like city surveillance project, city Wi-Fi project, or the traffic management ITMS project, where toll gates and so because there are these places where these switches are be installed are need to be compatible with the harsh environment. So there we suggest to be use industrial switches for these applications. Now we'll move on to the portfolio. So industrial switches portfolio we'll see. So we have layer 3 managed switch in industrial, that is a modular rack mountable switch, which is having 24 port options and 4 uplink ports, 1G and 10G, two models we have. Then we have DIN rail mounting layer 3 switch also. We have options from 8 port to 20 port, multiple variations we have in the managed layer 3 category. Then we have layer 2 rack mountable switch, DGS F3400 series, which is also a modular switch with 4 1G and 10G variant. And we have a layer 2 managed DIN rail mounting options are there. So as I told, DIN rail mounting is mostly used to save the space. And we have DGS F3000 series, which is 4 port as a entry level variant, and up to 20 ports we can multiple variant over there. Then we have DES F3200 series, DIS 300 is also our layer 2 managed series. We will go in detail for the every series. So we have all variant. We have unmanaged switches as well from DGS F1000 series, then DIS 100G series for the 1G gigabit ports, and then we have uh, media converters with 2 fiber port and 1 copper port option is there in the media converter. DMC GF1000 is their model number. So this is an industrial grade media converter. So all these having a high temperature range supports. So first is our layer 3 switch, DGS F3600. So this is a modular layer 3 switch. We have 3 open slots, and in that we can use a 8 port module card. So we can have options like 8 port PoE, 8 port non PoE, or 8 port fiber cards. So we can use these options, and as per requirement we can achieve the customer requirement. And uplink ports we have for 1G or for 10G ports. On the back side we have power supply. We have AC, AC, DC, DC, and single AC options are there for the power supply. And we can have a hardware specifications. We have we can see the operating temperature -40 to 70 supported. In layer 3 we have OSP up, L3 multicast, VRRP. Layer 2 features we have like VLAN, QNQ. So these are the generic whatever the features are supported in our commercial grade switches, similar features are used in a industrial switches as well. And we can use it in a ring architecture, star architecture, different topologies. We can use these layer 3 switches. Then this is our one specific model, DIS 700, which is a fiber module, 24 port 1G SFP ports with 4 SFP plus 10G ports. So similar to that, it is a layer 3 static routing and supported switch. And we move to the layer 2 switch. So similar to F3600, this is F3400, which is a modular switch. So this is having 3 open slots and 4 1G or 10G options are available. And we can use a 8 port LAN card as per requirement, PoE, non-PoE, fiber. We have power options, AC, AC, DC, DC by default. For the PoE, to be a PoE card, when we use a PoE card, we have to give a separate DC power supply. So it supports ring protocols, ERPS, MSTP, security feature like 802.1x, SSH. So all these switches are IP30 metal housing. Then a layer 3 DIN rail mounting switch, we have DGS F3700 series, where we have starting from the 4 port, 8 port non-PoE PoE options. Then uplink port will be 1G and 10G, both options are there for the uplink ports. This is a specifically DIN rail mounting switch, which is IP30 metal housing and fanless design. All these switches are fanless in designing. It supports a layer 3 protocol like OSPF, L3 multicast, VRRP. In layer 2, we have DIN rail mounting switches DGS F3000 series. So where we have a multiple variant starting from the 4 port, 8 port non-PoE PoE with 4G SFP, 41G SFP uplink ports, and then 8 port, 12 port, 16 non-PoE with 4 10G SFP uplink ports. So we have a variety, multiple variations in the port count, whatever as per the requirement, and we can have feature enhancement customization as per the project requirement. So this in the rack mount and power supply we have shown over here. So this is again DIS 300G series, our layer 2 series, which is a 4 port 1G PoE and 2 1G RJ45 ports plus 2 1G SFP ports. So total 8 ports in 8 PSW. Then DIS 300G 12SW, where we have 8 1G copper port and 4 1G SFP ports. So this is a pure layer 2 switch, layer 2 switches for the applications like smart cities. Then this is DIS 200G. We have two models over here for the DIS 200G. Comes with a 8 port and 12 port and 12 PoE ports, non-PoE PoE options. Then this is our fast Ethernet series. So right now the fast Ethernet is absolute in the market. So we have very limited stock for the fast Ethernet, because now everyone, as there is a gigabit market is only in the demand. So this fast Ethernet is not that much popular right now, and it's going to be very soon absolute in the market for the fast Ethernet. But all will be going to the gigabit. In unmanaged, we have DIS 100G, where we have 6 port option and 10 port option. So 4 plus 2 SFP and 8 plus 2 SFP options are there. So these are unmanaged, and these all are IP30 with a high temperature support up to 65 degree operating temperature support. Then this is DGS F1000 series. So these 4 and 5 port options are there with 1 SFP or 2 SFP uplink options. This 10 by 100 again, DISN 100E, similar to gigabit. 5 port and 8 port options are there, but no SFP port. It is only copper ports. Then in media converter, so we have right now dual fiber port media converter is there. Single one copper one fiber conversion, or repeater mode option there, fiber to fiber. So for any support, we have toll-free number as well as email ID, and we have L2 support also. Any inquiries for any questions, you can write in the chat box right now, or we can discuss. If you can if you want to ask something, I can unmute. Then you can talk, and I will try to answer it. Or you can write down mails on the support email IDs which are given over here. So thank you everyone for joining this session. If you have any question, you can raise your hand or chat in the box, chat inbox. I will try to answer your queries. Thank you everyone. So we'll officially close this session. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining. Share your feedback uh, on. We'll send a form to you on your email address. Please share your feedback on that, so we can improve ourselves. And thanks for your time, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.